How y'all doing? I'm Joshua Wiley, and I know it's been a long time since I've made a video, and I appreciate the prayers from everyone and everybody who was asking, Josh, where you at? You know, things of that nature. But again, I want to say I definitely appreciate you guys' prayers. You know, keep holding my family up in prayer. When Joshua is in a dark place, when my mind ain't right, when I'm acting up, you know, I'm definitely not gonna play with the Lord and come on here and try to teach y'all. And let's just say some things happen and I allowed the devil to take me to an ugly place for a little while. And that was a little while ago, but I still didn't want to even rush back into sharing. I definitely wanted to make sure relationship with God is key and fundamental in all things, And so I definitely wanted to make sure that even though, you know, God forgives you instantly, sincerely, just like that, you know, but I just wanted to make sure that I was in the right place before I even started back sharing. And plus, I'm gonna open up more avenues in talking with the Lord these past couple weeks. Even though I do YouTube, there's a lot of other social media avenues that I hadn't tapped into, that I didn't. There's so much stuff that I have just sitting, even the thoughts up in my mind that just collecting dust, you know, that I haven't shared, And God said, nah, I didn't give you that stuff. Even I didn't give you those thoughts to just collect dust and sit. You know, I gave them to you for you to share. And so, like Periscope, I'm gonna do more Periscopes, more Facebook Live. But anyway, you know, I'm a firm believer in actions speak louder than words. And not too long ago, I did start another YouTube page, another YouTube channel, and I believe that one is just under my name. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to find it out. You know, I've been focused on just this channel for so many years. Even if I start another channel, it's like I'll forget about them just like that, because my main focus is this channel right here. It's this channel right here. But the name of this video is First and Foremost, and this is dear to my heart. If it wasn't for the sanctuary, learning the sanctuary, even like I say, coming out of dark places, or when you're falling down and you want to get back up, the sanctuary actually taught me or showed me the fundamentals of justification and sanctification, and how to get back up when God says, get up, I've forgiven you, dust it off, get up and move on. The sanctuary study has, the sanctuary itself has showed me and taught me how the proper steps to use into coming back into good, I ain't gonna say coming back into good graces with God, because sincerely, when you come to God sincerely, you're in good graces with him. When he forgives you, you are in good graces with him. But I will say, in maintaining the relationship with the Lord, it's like I told somebody the other day, it's like I drop my religion and I gain relationship. And so that is my focus now, is definitely relationship. And even more, it brings more to light with the sanctuary concerning how to maintain a healthy relationship. We all have a relationship with God. I hear people say all the time, I got a relationship with God, you know, who don't go to church, who do certain things. And even, you know, when I'm out wilding, or if, you know, when I fall down, you know, you'd be like, yeah, we have a relationship with God, but is it a healthy relationship with God is the key. Is it a good relationship? I can have a relationship with my wife. I can have a relationship with my kids, with my mother, with my friends all day, but do I have a good relationship with my wife? Do I have a good relationship with my friends? So that's the key. And so in thanking the Lord, because I don't want some people to say, oh, you're a sanctuary fanatic, but it's the house of God, like not the church, not the actual building, but the spirit of the sanctuary, the thoughts and the principles of the sanctuary. But when we learn in the Word, it's literally his house. So you can say I'm a sanctuary fanatic. I love the Lord. How many times before, and we're not even into the study yet real quick, but how many times do you work with somebody, or you go to school, or you go to church with somebody, and you could know them for years, and you be like, yeah, I know that person, but it really isn't until you go to their house and fellowship with them do you really feel like, I know that person. I can say I know that person, but I really don't know that person. But when you go to somebody's house and you fellowship with them, it's there and then that you truly get to know that person. The same thing is with God. And so my first video coming back, I'm so thankful. And I will say this about, something happened with me and my children, and just keep us in prayer. The Lord knows, and we're fine now, but I love him so much for he healed the situation. And I just had to throw that back in there. I mean, we serve an awesome God, and what he says in Isaiah when he says, if you contend with me, I'll contend with your children, is so true. But God showed me, and this led to another study that I'm going to do about, I'll be honest with y'all, I try to be as transparent as possible with everyone, and that's why I won't play the hypocrite. I won't start acting. Some people were actually upset with me that I wouldn't be a hypocrite. I mean, they didn't come at me in them terms, but in so much, they'll say, well, Josh, keep stuff to yourself and still do this. And I'm like, no, if my relationship isn't right with the Lord, I'm not gonna act and play a role. I won't do it, no matter who asks me to. But God is so awesome in his love and his mercy towards us. I actually almost forgot what thought I was gonna say, but going back to the sanctuary, I told him, I wanted the name of this video is First and Foremost, and the reason it's first and foremost is because it deals with the sanctuary. Like I said, there's so many fresh and new teachings that God has shared with me that I've just been sitting on, and we're not gonna allow that to happen anymore because time is short, beloved. And if I know something that can help you in your walk when you might be in a dark place, or when you might fall down, then beloved, I don't want to be guilty of holding on to it when it could help you out and benefit you like it's benefited me. And so now what I'm sharing today is probably one of the most precious principles of the sanctuary, and I honestly believe it's the main reason why the enemy, the accuser of the brethren and the hater of souls, does not want you to learn about the sanctuary, beloved. This thought right here, and it's crazy because I don't believe I've even put it in my studies. I don't even in the 32-part series I've done on the sanctuary. I'm not gonna go over those things in this First and Foremost series. I'm going to share with y'all some new stuff about the sanctuary that God showed me now, and that he showed me before that I didn't even share with y'all before. Because I can use the excuse, oh, I watch my children, which I do, my young ones. I run my business. I can, and then I deal with people and just life in general. So, and still making time for my wife and my family. So hours and time can be bogged down. And that became my excuse. But anyway, let's get into it. That's enough of that. It just, for y'all, it almost feel like I'm talking to you on the phone, that I'm right there with y'all. It's good to be back, and good to just be able to share. Because like I told y'all, even at the end of last year, I was real sick, and I was scared because I was scared that I was sick unto death. God has alleviated my worries. It's amazing how God will take one situation and say, look, Josh, I'm way more amazing than you realize. And he's beyond amazing. And I love using that because he is beyond amazing. I feel like when people say God is good, that's an understatement by to the 100th extent. He's beyond good. He's beyond amazing. Beyond amazing. But anyway, the title of this video is First and Foremost. First and foremost. And beloved, I kid you not, this point about the sanctuary, if you didn't know anything else about the sanctuary, it's like enough to be like, wow, the sanctuary must be a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. And I mean, and what I'm gonna share is just a tidbit of it. You know, I still didn't want to just deepen. You know, it still isn't even going deep into it. But anyway, let's get to it. Turn in your Bibles. If you have your Bible, I'm gonna read from Jeremiah 17:12. Jeremiah 17:12, and it says, "A glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary." That verse, y'all have heard me share that verse before. My wife, my mother have all heard me share that verse before. That verse is so fundamental in when dealing with our salvation and just about the thought process of God. Right now, who can go into the thought process of God? I mean, we can't. Not even on an inch, you know, not even of an inch dig into his mind and his thoughts. But he gives us tidbits. He gives us tidbits to feed on, things that we can handle and grasp. And so, as I read it again, a glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. Beloved, let's unwrap that now. From the beginning, I honestly believe he's speaking about the beginning of all things. The beginning of all things, like he told Moses in Exodus, I believe Exodus 36. Well, he said, "Let them build me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them." And if I said 36, I meant 26. But he said, "Let them build me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them." The sanctuary is the house of God. So it's almost common sense that before God would build all this other stuff around the world, that's like a contractor. Before he goes and makes all these other things, he has a home that he can go back to. This is God's home. This is his house. So why isn't God's house taught more? Have you asked yourself that? Why isn't the place where God lives, like I started to say earlier, you really don't know someone until you go to their home. So what are you getting at, Josh? What I'm saying is, if the very first place that ever existed was the sanctuary, beloved, then it's expedient. It's important, of a high priority, that we learn about it. And this is one of the keys, because think about it. This is what I want you to see. What is the sanctuary about? What does the sanctuary stand for, even in principle? It's the redemption of man. You know, when you look at the sanctuary, if any of you have followed through the sanctuary pattern and the study with me, I think it's a 30-part. I don't know how many parts I've put up on it, but if any of you have watched all 30 of those videos, then you know that the sanctuary stands for, it shows the redemption of man, and is actually God's blessed assembly line to go from dirty and filthy to clean and presentable before a wonderful Father, to stand before his throne blameless and faultless, of course with his son's robe of righteousness. So if the sanctuary, now here's where the thoughts come in at. This is what the enemy doesn't want you to know. If the sanctuary stands for redemption and salvation, let's keep that keyword. Those two right there. If it stands for redemption and salvation, beloved, then that means the first thing that ever existed in the universe was salvation. I don't know if you're with me. Let's do it like this. Okay. God's house represents salvation, mercy. So when you a sinner and you falling down, and the devil's whispering in your ear, "Trust me, I know," when he's there in your ear and he's saying, "You've gone too far to be forgiven. You've gone too far to come back to him." Beloved, even just the principle of the sanctuary of God's house itself stands for his arms is open waiting for you. His arms is open and he's waiting for you. It stands for salvation and redemption. So when he says, "Come to my house," you know, he's saying even his house stands for the redemption of mankind. His house even stands and says, "No, the devil's a liar. You can come to me. You're never too dirty to come to me. You're never too far away to where I won't accept you." So if, like Jeremiah 17:12 says, a glorious high throne from the beginning, is the place of our sanctuary. And that word our, see, another thing about God's home is his home is our home. And he shows it even more by it representing salvation. Salvation of who? Mankind. Beloved. Now let's look at, so we have that the sanctuary represents salvation and redemption. It was the first place ever created in the galaxy, in the universe. So we're saying that the principle of salvation, the salvation of mankind, was the first and foremost, there's the title, was the first and foremost thing on God's mind before he created anything else in the universe. He thought about you and I. That's mind-blowing. I don't know about you, but that's mind-blowing to me. That the first thing that God established in the universe was a way of escape for me and you. So that means we were first on his mind. So when the devil comes at you and says, you can't come to God, or you're too dirty, you're too filthy, or the church won't let you hold this position, or people are looking at you funny, or your family see you a certain way and you feel guilty and you feel ashamed and you have these suitcases of guilt all around you. Beloved, the devil doesn't want you to know that you were on God's mind before he created anything in the whole universe. You were on his mind before he did anything in the whole universe. And I could see the Godhead sitting there. So they said, and you know, I can see them sitting there saying, before we create a planet, before we do anything, we're going to make a way of escape for Joshua. We can't go and create other beings. I got to put a pause right here because I know some people actually believe that humans are the only beings ever, humans and angels are the two only species that God created. Honestly, beloved, that would make for a very boring universe and a very boring heaven if it's just humans and angels. And then that would make God look like almost a failure, wouldn't it? The only two species he created fail. But that's part 2. We're going to dig in that in part 2. Now think about it. Have you thought about that? If angels and humans were the only two species that God ever created, the devil in hindsight is saying that God really can't create nothing that isn't a mistake. I'm telling you. So when you look at it, and God is a God who loves to create and to be loved. I can't see him only just creating two species. I see like millions and millions that did not fall. Mankind was the only ones who fell. We were the only ones who fell, along with a third of the angels. But anyway, beloved. So first and foremost, like I said, I started with the wraparound. I started with that. So let's hold it like this. This is the sanctuary. Right? You know what? A CD is a key way to subscribe it. The middle part right here. This part right here is the sanctuary. God's house. We've already established that it represents redemption and salvation. God's house represents redemption and salvation. And the Bible tells us that it was the very first place ever created. So everything else in the universe was created around what principle? Salvation. Everything in the universe was created around salvation and the redemption of mankind. That's mind-blowing. The devil doesn't want you to know that. Why? Because then you'll know that, hold on, God's throne in the sanctuary is called the mercy seat. So his throne is called the mercy seat. His house represents salvation and redemption. Maybe he's not that tyrant that the devil want to make him out to be. Maybe he's all about mercy, redemption. So maybe I can come to him no matter how filthy and dirty I am. And beloved, I would not be sitting here in front of you here today. Trust me, beloved, when I snap, I snap. Like I told y'all before, I know I deal with mental issues when my chemical imbalance is off, when I'm not eating right, when I'm not sleeping right, when I'm not doing the proper things I need to be doing. And brother, Elder Dwayne Lemon does a wonderful, wonderful series on diet and concerning the mind, and diet concerning the mind. Matter of fact, he does several, in several of his teachings and several of his sermons. Purify your motives is one. If thou hast nothing else. But, beloved, back to the principle, but so I would have never, if trust me, if I didn't know these principles, if I wasn't shown how much God is all about salvation and redemption, that he is salvation. Sometimes we can say God is mercy. And the Holy Spirit told me to pause right here and let y'all know. If y'all want more of the series that Brother Dwayne Lemon did, just message me and I will bring them back, and I will let you know the titles of the series and what they are. I have my little helper over here. She's wanting to see. You see? Uh-oh. Where you get those from? She done went into my office. She went back into my back office and got me some little pieces to help me out with the Bible study. But anyway, like I was saying, if y'all want to know which sermons of Elder Lemon's, where he's talking about diet, health, and the mind, definitely just comment below and I'll leave them. And I'll leave them for you. Matter of fact, I'm going to put them in the description when I upload this video. But anyway, so you have, wrong side. So you have redemption and salvation is the heartbeat of the universe. Okay, I just had to skip ahead. So you have the sanctuary in the middle, which represents salvation and redemption. So just like this seed is right here in the middle, everything else was created around redemption and salvation. So the heartbeat of the universe are the principles of salvation and redemption, which should always let you know, no matter how filthy, how dirty, the universe was built on another chance. The universe was built on you can go to God, no matter how dirty you are. And even bigger than that. Now let's even go deeper than that. Let's go deeper than that, because the sanctuary represents who? Christ. Who brought redemption? Christ. Who brought salvation? Christ. So Jesus is the heartbeat of the universe. Beloved, the enemy does not want you to know this or realize it in any type of way, that Christ, his love and salvation is the heartbeat, is the center of the universe. Literally. We can now say literally. It's not just a thought. You know, God shows us literally that the universe was built around Jesus and what he did for us. And what he did for us. And I stress it that even though, I mean, what does that say? That says several things. That says before God could go out and create other things, he said, I gotta make a way out for man. And think about it. Once the Godhead orchestrated this plan, and they put this plan together, then they said, now that we got a plan set in place, now we can go out and create, feel free, play. And think about it. If you are, all right, say it like this. Say I have my home. Say I got 5 children, and I know the beginning from the end, and I know that there's gonna come an enemy in my house down the road, and he's gonna try and kill and murder all my children. Well, let's just say, because there's other, he's gonna try and kill and murder all my children, and I already see that one of my children are gonna need a plan of escape. Now I'm looking down the road, right? I'm seeing the future, right? Because I know beginning from end. Now, do I just go about my day like, okay, an enemy's gonna come later down the road? Well, I'll take care of that enemy when he gets there. Is a real parent gonna say that? No. Before that parent does anything else, that parent is gonna plan a way of escape to protect his children. And once the parent gets the plan down, Then the parent will go about the day, be like, okay, the plan set in order. And now remember, you know, beginning from end. So you're like, okay, the plan set in order. Okay, the plan, I can defeat him when he comes in the house. We already got it set. Boop, boop, boop. You're going to set the plan to the side, and you're going to go about doing what you're doing. But you're not going to say, well, I'm going to wait till the enemy comes in the house and tries to kill my children before I think of a way to help my children. No, you're going to do first things first. The plan of salvation was the first thought and the first thing that God created in the universe. You see what I'm saying? And then once they got the plan together, then they went about doing everything else, creating in the universe, making things, and just having joy and harmony and peace. Now, let's show another verse that shows this before I close. I'm about to end it. Y'all. I know I took 10 minutes explaining to y'all where I've been, and of course, you know, I've never lived my life like, oh, I gotta explain to people, but many of y'all give me strength and are true friends. And of course, I don't mind explaining, you know, where I've been, because I appreciate your prayers, I appreciate your support and your love. And if there's anything ever I can do for you, anything ever you would like me to talk about or touch on, man, I'm here. But it also brought to light more this verse right here in Revelation 13 verse 8. Revelation 13 verse 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. A lot of times, I mean, even when I used to read that and just thought it meant earth. I used to just think that meant earth. But that word world also means universe, galaxy. Because world to who? You know, just from our world or God's world, the Lamb slain from the foundation of the universe. Say, Josh, let me say it to you. God just told us that the sanctuary was the first place ever created. It was the beginning of all things. So if the sanctuary was the beginning of all things, that means the plan of salvation was the beginning of all things. So that means Jesus, while the Godhead was there, Jesus said, I will be the Lamb. At the very beginning of all things. Beloved, that thought alone is mind-blowing. So before there was a universe, before they started creating everything in the universe, Jesus made a choice. I'm telling you, I'm blown away. And I would not be able to sit here if I didn't know in my mind and heart, body, and soul that God would not be waiting for me with open arms the minute I said, I'm sorry, Lord, please forgive me. You know, the devil does not want you to see the true character of God. And when you look at the sanctuary and the true principles of the sanctuary, but then you put that along with the literal honesty and truth about the sanctuary and its place in the universe. Beloved, you and I was on God's mind from the beginning. Christ, fallen man, was on Jesus's mind and heart from the beginning. I used to just thought that meant in the Garden of Eden when a lamb, you know, was represented. No, that was almost, you know what? So Holy Spirit is wonderful. However, that was God activating the plan. When Adam and Eve sinned and God came down and let them know their punishments, and he cursed the snake, the serpent, and then they had the little fig leaves that they tried to cover up with, and God slain an animal. God was opening up the plan that they had established at the very beginning right there. It was like activation. You know when you cut something on, boop, that was the minute, because that was the first death. That was the first death in all of the universe ever, was when the lamb was slain right there in Eden. That was the first death. Is it ironic that the very first death was representative, was symbolic of the most important death? The very first death was symbolic of the most important death ever to mankind. Now think about it. And when the lamb was slain in the Garden of Eden, The lamb was slain to cover the sins, or cover the nakedness and the wretchedness of Adam and Eve, to cover the sins of man. So when that lamb was slain to cover the nakedness of Adam and Eve, it activated the plan of salvation and set the plan in motion. And a matter of fact, a couple verses before that was the very first mention of the plan. Even Satan himself did not know about the plan. Now, how did it make him feel to know? How do you think he felt to know that Satan, as Ezekiel 28 tells us, he was a covering cherub. So his place was in the most holy place. So he was a part of the very plan to fix what he would mess up. So can you understand how he felt once he learned about salvation in the sanctuary and what all the different pieces of furniture stood for? Do you understand how foolish he felt that to know that, let's just say he was in heaven 30 trillion years before the fall, before he fell? 30 trillion. So can you imagine how he felt to know that he was actually a part of the very plan to fix what he was gonna mess up? Beloved, even he did not have a knowledge of the sanctuary until the plan was activated, until God spoke of the plan in Genesis 3:15, I believe it was, when he told, and there shall be a son, and there shall be a child born who shall bruise thy heel, who shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So beloved, this plan, but I don't want to get into that, but this plan that was set forth at the very beginning of all things, hold on to that thought. That thought is so crucial. People out there in the highways and the byways and in the shelters, people in the churches who are hurting, people in the homes who might feel like guilt and the shame. A lot of old members who used to go to church who don't come no more, don't come before because they feel guilt and shame. And of course, a lot of us who were in the pews with them don't make it feel no better by dwelling on their mistakes. But beloved, they need to know that the whole universe is built around redemption. The whole universe is built around salvation and love. Love. Salvation and love. And I don't see how God's character can be shown any more clearer than the simple fact that his house is salvation. His throne is called mercy. Never let the devil make you feel like you've gone too far, or you failed too hard, or oh man, I was in the church and I know. Look, beloved, as many Bible studies as I've given, many videos as I've done, as many sermons as I've preached, you know, when I failed, believe me, I heard those thoughts, the devil whispering in my ear, oh, Josh, it's even worse for you because you've taught the word, you know, so God is going to be more hard on you. You can't just come back to him. You can't, all those lies. But I knew that, you know, there's a house called salvation. And he who is in the house sits on something called mercy. Beloved, this is what we need to teach our children. This is what we need to tell, it being reiterated over and over, that the whole universe was built around salvation and love. The whole universe was built around Jesus. So in the essence, when you reject Christ, you actually are putting yourself out of whack in the universe. In the universe, the heartbeat of the universe itself. So beloved, that's going to be in part 2. And I'm sorry this is so long, but God is so amazing. And like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his mercy and his grace. And I'm so thankful for my true friends who've held me down and who didn't turn it back on me when I fell. You know, the word says a righteous man falls 7 times. Beloved, that means he got up 8 times. That don't mean he just falls in one, but that means he got up. But beloved, we must remember that. We must remember that when we're dealing with each other. Too many times we think because somebody falls, oh, what, God is done with them. No. You know, we do God an injustice when we turn our back on family members, when we turn our back on friends, when we turn our back on our spouses. and our children, we do God an injustice because the whole universe was built around forgiveness, mercy, salvation, and redemption. And I'm gonna go into this in more depth. I didn't even write nothing down. Y'all know me. Usually I'll tell you, I'll share, I'll write it down. I try to bring you out calculated thoughts, but I just wanted to share about what was first and foremost to God. What was first and foremost to God. So let it be first and foremost to you. And I'll end this by saying, just the other day I was in talking with the Lord in personal study, and he said to me, he said, Joshua, the same grace that I've given to you, which is abundant, he's given me, I've done so much dirt and so much wrong, but he said, the same grace I've given to you, now go and give it to everyone in your life, good and bad, your enemies. The grace I've given to you, give that to those who don't like you. The same grace I've given to you, give it to your children, Joshua, when you're upset with them. Give it to your spouse, Joshua, when you're upset with them. Give it to your parents, Josh, for the mistakes they may have made. Give it to your co-workers, Joshua. The same grace and the same salvation that is given to us. Let's share that salvation with others. Let's share that salvation with others, for it is the heartbeat of the universe. Love and redemption. So when they say redemption song, we were first. Can you believe it? I'm blown away, y'all. I'm blown away that we were the first thoughts on God's mind. I don't know his thoughts, so I'm wrong. Let me retract that statement. But we were first and foremost in all of his creations. First thing he ever created and established was salvation for you and I. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Now let's go share it with somebody else who may need it, like your brother needed it, like your brother needed it. And I thank all my friends on Facebook who didn't turn their backs on me, because when I snapped, I was snapped out, and I've never been the type to hold my tongue, and so I've said a whole bunch of horrible things and things of that nature. But I want to thank all of you who showed me your love and your kindness and who prayed for me. You know who you are. I will not mention all of you by name, but I just wanted to thank you. And again, I will actually leave the titles of some of the sermons that Elder Lemon has preached on this very subject, and about diet and mind, and the devil wants to break down your mind so he can have access to it, beloved. But beloved, take heart and share the good news. To me, that is the good news of the gospel, that our whole existence, that our whole universe was built around redemption. So share redemption with somebody else. Y'all have a good one.